Hi, Ash.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello.
So, what are we going to talk about today?
I want to speak about what's going on in the media at the moment with regards to um, rises in rates and how lenders are dealing with that.
Yeah, so very much like just an overview of the kind of mortgage market update that's been around so much right now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people are feeling very, very nervous. And, you know, interest rates are going up. We are looking at rates from lenders that are higher than they have been. But lenders, in the main part, are still lending. We've heard in the news that mortgage lenders aren't lending anymore. I've had clients calling me who are so worried about that, especially if they've had their mortgage offer issued. And we have had some lenders who have withdrawn from the market, but most of the lenders are still lending. All they did was withdrew from the market overnight to reassess their products, and now they're back again. That's what's happened. So it's not quite as scary as we're hearing.
And you seeing the media definitely are pushing this in a way more negative way than it actually is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a worrying time. People are stressed, and it is negative because a lot of the phone calls I'm having with people are, they're disappointed by what they're hearing. So it's not a very nice time really.
Yeah.
But I do think that what we're hearing in the media is more doom and gloom than the actual reality of it. And in some cases, it's not quite as bad as what we're hearing.
I've actually had a client come to me who's speaking to me and saying that the news, a certain news outlet, and I won't say which one it is, actually and a big one though, national, approached them, asked if they had any clients that had a situation that they think should be featured on the news. So they sent to the client spoke to them, and then they came back and said, "Oh no, it's not as bad as we wanted." They literally came and said, "No, it's not. That's not really what we wanted. We wanted something a little bit more extreme."
Yeah, that's the thing you see, but it's just causing huge panic and it
Hmm.
really is worrying people. And I'm spending a lot of my day trying to calm people down. I have a lot of clients who are willing to pay huge early repayment charges
Yeah,
to get a better rate. That may or may not be the right thing to do. Everyone's circumstances is different, but it's just instilling this huge fear into people. And the more people listening to the media, the more upset they're getting. When actually, just book in, speak to a mortgage broker, because we can tell you the reality of what's going on, and we can give you an indication of, where rates are at the moment, and give you advice on what you should do.
I can imagine as well. Right now, like the situation is so it needs to be so bespoke to individuals, as you say. Like gone are the times for people to understand. I think they used to be very easy for a while of like most people would be on a certain fixed deal and that's it. But what I'm finding now and definitely seeing more and more is that everyone's situation is more bespoke now than it was before, and so a broker is really needed more than it was before. This idea of, as you say, these very big penalties that some of the people are just literally paying and leaving because they've heard something on the news, and it could be completely the wrong thing. And so I'm sure you're seeing yourself, everyone's situations are very different.
Absolutely. We have to assess your whole circumstances, what your plans are now and in the future, what your early repayment charge is, what your mortgage balance is. All these things are crucial. And I think I'm hearing of some people who are making these decisions based on pure panic, not actually on advice. And I think that's causing a big problem at the moment. And people may not always be making the correct decision just because they're so worried and they need to deal with it right now. And unfortunately, sometimes they're not making the correct decision for themselves.
Absolutely. Also on that, you're saying about dealing with it right now. What type of like, um, you know, levels of, not levels of service, but like time frames should people be thinking? Because I know me and you spoke about this, and I spoke about this with many of my clients who are brokers and have seen this, is that people are very much panicking and wanting stuff sorted now, and they're not realizing that, you know, because this is a regulated industry, it can't be turned around in half an hour.
Absolutely. I mean, when clients send their documents through, you know, we have to take time to assess those. We have to make sure that we're compliant and that we do things in the right way. And clients are worried, and I do not blame them for being worried. But they also have to understand that a mortgage in principle doesn't take 3 minutes. You know, it takes longer than that. We have to, you know, research, check your documents. We have to research. We have to make sure we're, you know, submitting it with the correct lender. An application doesn't take 3 minutes either. That takes
Hours.
Time. It takes such a long time, and then all the compliance that goes with it as well. And clients have to understand at the moment that although their mortgage is the most important thing to them, there are probably another 10 other people that we've spoken to are waiting for their applications to go in as well, because their mortgage is the most important thing to them. And I can't speak for every broker, but right now I know I am doing everything I possibly can to make sure that everybody is happy, and that, you know, their mortgage application is being submitted as quickly as possible. We make sure that we do everything right, but we do it quickly and efficiently for people. But things take a little bit longer than I think some people think they do. We can't just click our fingers and make sure that rate's secured for you. There is a process that we have to go through to make sure that we're doing it right for you. That's it, really.
And there's one thing I wanted to touch on a little bit is, me and you've spoken about this, and I've seen this happening a lot right now, is this understanding of how these rates are working. The Bank of England is the people, like, it's not you as advisors who are making these rates. You know, I know that sounds silly. I spoke about it often. It's just so when people can understand and have more of an informed decision is, you know, these rates, when they're gone, they're gone. Like, that's how it works. It's not like you can't ask someone, bend someone's arm, and it's not you that has any control over these rates. That's correct, isn't it?
It is. In some cases, I do feel like public enemy number one at the moment. I feel like I've increased the rates, and I've gone to the lenders and say, just increase your rates. That would be great. Let's do that. And when I'm sourcing mortgage products for people, I am providing them with the most competitive rate for them. We're not just picking rates out the sky because they look high. You know, it's we are doing our absolute best for people. Unfortunately, if a rate is pulled, it's pulled. There's nothing we can do about that. In some cases, we do get notification, but it could be an hour. You know, before you have a chance to read your email, it's gone. So in some situations, we do know that they're going to be pulled at 8 o'clock that evening, for example. But in some cases, we don't. And even if we do know, sometimes we're not given enough notice to be able to submit everything that we need to. So it's a pressure cooker at the moment. We are working under extreme circumstances, and unfortunately we are having to give some bad news because, you know, that interest rate isn't available anymore. But more often than not, we didn't know. We didn't know it's going to happen. It's
interesting, and it is like the industry is moving fast in that way. Like, I remember when I was a broker, like often it was a different interest rate time, and it was very much, you could have you know, a week's notice. We're going to pull the products at the end of the week, and you're like, okay, cool. And, or like even 2 weeks or the end of the month, they're going to pull them at the end of the month. And now, like, having this, you know, we're going to do it at the end 8 o'clock. That's happening a lot, as you know, or even no one. I think there's not enough discussion around that for clients to to understand it. You know, I think there's not enough discussion by these news outlets. You know, they're talking about rates being withdrawn and letting products, but what they're not talking about is like the more like how this actually affects them. They're doing the top line scary stuff, but how to understand, you know, these rates are around, and the rate you get quoted might not be the rate you end up paying if in this current market. It's just not the way it is. It's like Ryanair flight tickets, you know, going up and down.
Absolutely. I think it's important for brokers at the moment to be explaining to clients right at the start, this is the rate today. This is the rate this minute, actually. That's
right
where we're at the
now,
moment.
this is what it is.
This is the rate right now. I do not know how long it's going to be here for, and I do not want anyone to feel under pressure, but they need to be aware, clients need to be aware that this is here right now. It may not be here at 9 o'clock this evening, and it may not be here tomorrow morning, and there's nothing we can do about that. It is what it is. Unfortunately, that is what we're up against at the moment, and it's not nice to give bad news. No one wants to give people bad news, and that's why, you know, I'm sure all brokers are working as hard as they possibly can to get things submitted for clients, because no one wants to go back the next day and say, actually, it's going to be 1% higher. No one wants that conversation. It's awful. So yeah, I think that's, like I say, that's where we're at the moment.
That's a very, it's an interesting one. So any parting words on this episode before you run it out?
Yeah, speak to a broker. Don't be scared by what you hear. Come and talk to us and get the reality of what's going on. That's the most important thing. And please understand that we cannot do anything about the rates. We will do everything we can to try and make sure it's secured for you, but sometimes it can't be.
That makes sense.
Yeah.